What up, faithful? It's your boy Ty here, and joining me today is my homie, my big homie, Melissa Rebele. What's going on?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm
It's
doing good.
Rebel.
Rebele, sorry, I did not. I never knew that.
It's
You know that I
okay.
never heard you say it. But
Most
thanks for
people
correcting me.
mispronounce it.
Well, I
I,
won't do that from now on.
I always tell people it's like the easiest thing to pronounce. It's the word rebel with an E at the end, so it's just rebel-y.
Rebele. Yeah, that's easy to remember. I don't know how you can't remember that. Who knows? Well, happy belated birthday. I know you had a birthday about a week ago. A week or
Yep,
so
March
ago.
5th.
Yep. So let's get it. Let's do it. I sent you something. You've been waiting to open it. Crack it open. Let's just get right to it.
It's gonna be loud. I really have not opened this at all.
Well, that's what we're doing.
Okay. This is promising. I see zip for hoodie, I think. I love
It's
hoodies.
promising. She said it's promising.
It's for
That's always
hoodies.
a good sign.
No, it's just like everybody loves pull-up hoodies, and it's not like I don't like them. It's just like they're very uncomfortable because they constantly like pull up my scalp when I'm like taking them off. Oh, this is really cool. It says "Stay faithful" on the arm. Okay,
And
this is really
you gotta
badass.
get to the front. You gotta get to the front.
Niners legends. No way! It says Justin Smith on it. No way! I don't know if you can see this or not, but look! It says Justin Smith 94. Well, actually it says Smith 94, but still. This is the coolest thing
You know who
ever!
it is. Yep. Wait, you gotta look at the other sleeve.
I saw the Stay Faithful on it.
Wait, the other sleeve. That's what, the right sleeve, the left sleeve.
The cowboy, that is awesome! Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I know you're a Justin Smith fan.
I am
So,
like the biggest Justin Smith fan. Like I freaked out. What was it? The last championship game or two championship games ago? The ones that we were losing. They had Justin Smith on, I think, KMVR, and like I begged Miss Debbie to send me like some kind of link because like I didn't have Audacity that worked with my old phone, and she knows I don't live in the Bay Area, and she sent me the link, and I like die hard listen to those things at least like 15 times. Both clips, it's just like Justin Cowboy Smith is so special. I'm like speechless right now.
Well, I'm glad you like it. I know you're a big fan, and rock it proudly. Represent those Niners. Represent Justin Smith. He should be talked about a lot more. Especially amongst the community, because he gets crazy props.
I think he is the best free agent pickup ever.
He's definitely one of them. He's definitely at the top of the list.
This is like the best thing ever. Like I kid you not, Ty. I thought just because you and I go back and forth, like sometimes joking.
Yeah.
I thought maybe it was something to do with Kyle Juszczyk, and I was like, we're being like, how look nice and not like completely go crazy because he keeps telling me don't look. And I rehearsed it in my head. I was like, you know what? He did well in the Super Bowl. I can pass off a believable smile, but like, I cannot believe this. Like, I get to represent a really dear friend and one of my favorite all-time players. Like, this is gonna be special for me.
Yeah.
I don't.
Good.
Oh,
Good. Enjoy.
I love this so much.
Light came on. All right. I'm glad you like it. But first, hold up. I wanted to know something. This is something also that I've never known. Wait, hold up. Got a few people in the chat here. Got a shout out to Steve-O. I'll correct that. David's in the house. What up, David?
Hi, David.
Paul Hope is here, my buddy. Good to see you,
Paul!
Paul. Indeed, indeed. You know, Paul says he loves the community. Hey, that's what it's all about. You know, we're all one big community. We're family. We got to make it happen for each other.
Paul Hope is so underrated. Just like Justin.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. He's the cowboy of the UK, you know? Love you, Paul. But hold up. I want to get to know you a little bit. And so I know you're from New Jersey. Stone's throw from Giant Stadium, MetLife Stadium. Grew up in a Giants household, right? Right? So I know the story of that just drove you nuts. And you were like, I am not going to be a Giants fan. I'm joining the 49ers. Okay. So run through that for me just real quick.
So my dad is a diehard Giants fan. Most of my extended family are Giants fans. Aside from my one uncle, who's a Cowboys fan. And so when we were younger, my brother and I would have to sit through Thanksgiving where my dad and my uncle would go at it because they're a Cowboys fan and a Giants fan. And I don't really remember the here's and what's of it, but my brother became a Packers fan, and he fell in love with Brett Favre, and I fell in love with Steve Young and Jerry Rice. Like, to me, they were like Batman and Superman, and like there's nothing better than that as a kid. And then as I grew up, I kind of went away from football. Things with my brother got toxic, so I just wanted to distance myself from everything that was them. But then as I got into adulthood, you know, they were obsessed with the draft. They were obsessed with Super Bowls, even if their teams weren't playing. And it's just like, either you had to kind of convert back to what was the norm, or you were just going to be left out for like 4 months of the year and more.
Oh, wow.
So, there was like a brief period in between where I did watch the Buccaneers because my cousin Keith was really close friends with Chris Sims.
Oh,
and
okay.
So they went to Ramapo High School together in New Jersey. And so when my cousin was down in Clemson, Chris Sims had invited him down to the Buccaneer facilities and brought him into the locker room. He got to meet like a bunch of players and stuff like that. And I idolized my cousin. He was like my hero growing up. So for a short time, I was a Buccaneers fan. But then one of the reasons why I also stopped watching the Niners was I could not stand Jeff Garcia. And
really?
As a Buccaneers fan, guess who becomes the quarterback? Jeff Garcia.
Garcia, he went there, yeah.
So, and then as an adult, I was like, you know, I got to get back into football. It's what everyone's doing. I did love it as a kid, and I wanted that magic again, not to be like so jaded and hateful towards it again. So as an adult, I was like, you know what? I love the Buccaneers. I love the Niners as a kid. It made me happy. You know, it was my thing. It wasn't like anyone else's thing. And I think that was the main reason why I chose Niners again as an adult, was that it was my thing. It wasn't influenced by anybody else.
Right.
And it just so happened the very first year I started watching, again as an adult, was the 2011 season, like right at the very beginning.
Yeah.
Winning, but at the very beginning of it. And it just so happened like the first player that flashed in my face was Justin Smith. And then I loved Patrick Navarro and Ahmad Brooks and Sean Golson and Dante Hittner and the rest of them. But it's just like, that was like my new plug. That was like my new guy. That was like the thing that made me happy. And ever since then I've been hooked, and I've been watching faithfully since then. But like, it's crazy because I think a lot of people think you're not a real fan if you don't watch your whole life one team.
Oh yeah.
Or if you go like, you test out another thing, or like if you don't stay through all the bad years. I think what makes it special is that you can fall in love with something twice. You can fall in love with it as like a kid, not really understanding it, but having a connection to it, and then coming back to something, I think makes it, you love it actually stronger in your adulthood, because you're willingly choosing it a second time, and then you're staying because it means so much to you.
Yeah, I agree. It's not where you start. It's when you get into it and how you support, how you enjoy the ride. Like, so what if you used to like one team and then you moved over? If you stayed with that new team, that's your team, right?
I mean, it's not like I'm chasing a player from like team to team to team.
No, but you originated with the 49ers.
Yeah, like I'm not constantly buying the championship gear for each team, and
right.
I think the craziest thing I saw as an adult when I was getting back into football was like everybody in New Jersey all of a sudden dabbing everywhere. Like I was like, no, really a Cam Newton fan. Like that's so crazy.
Oh, it's too funny. Yeah, we have something in common with Paul, because I spoke to him many times, and he started watching in 2011 also. That team, and Cap was his guy when he first started watching. So it doesn't matter when you get into it.
I actually loved Alex Smith.
Alex was good.
And the crazy part was like I got so into it because the Niners beat the Giants that year in the regular season, and back then I wasn't really into social media the way I am now, and so anything Niners that came into the newspaper, like I actually have old clips still cut out of Patrick Willis sacking Eli Manning and like all the build up to that championship game. Right. And I swear to you, my dad still brings up that number 10 thigh all the time to rip. And like it's still a sore spot, but like I still have those newspaper clippings. Like I loved that era.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great era. You mentioned your dad real quick. Him being a diehard Giants fan, and then you choosing the Niners. Now he's a fan from back in the day when like the Giants used to call us that finesse team from the West, and when they used to say the finesse, that was their way of calling us soft, because they were the big bad Giants and they would just stomp all over people, blah blah blah. How did he take it when he found out you were a 49ers fan?
He hates the Niners. He hates them too.
Yeah. He's from that era.
He really will never root for the Niners. Crazy is that he always brings up the point that the Niners caused the Giants a bunch of championships or playoff games or Super Bowl appearances, and then I remind him that technically his team did that to the Niners a couple of times, and that in my generation he's won a Super Bowl in every single decade of my life. And no other franchise has that. Like, I was born in 89, so he won in the 80s, he won in the 90s, he won in the 00s, and then he won in the teens. So like every single generation of my life, the Giants have won a Super Bowl, and yet he acts like the Niners have kept the Giants from doing something. And the funny part was that the real team that kept him from winning another Super Bowl was the Ravens, and then he was a diehard Raven fan during the Niners-Ravens Super Bowl. So he rooted on the Ravens, he rooted on the Seahawks, he rooted on everybody else.
Whoever we played, right?
Even when it's like Niners Cowboys on in like those big matchups recently, like he like half pays attention to it. He'll like half pay attention to it, and he's like, I'm not rooting for you, I'm not rooting for them because I hate the Cowboys. But it's just like he kind of enjoys when I'm like freaking out, or I'm struggling, or I get like pissed off because Garoppolo has another turnover or something like that. And so it's funny that the Packers he'll support, but the Niners he still to this day hates.
Wow.
with Avengers.
Like I mentioned, he's from that era, and back in the 80s, the two teams were bitter rivals. They didn't like us, we didn't like them. It was what it was.
I don't know if you can see it or not, but I actually have Tiki Barber
I see Tiki back there, yeah.
there, so because my dad, when we were younger, we lived in West Patterson, and so there was this gym, and I'm gonna completely screw up his name. John Creasy was a trainer there, and he trained Tiki. And my dad knew about that, so I think this was his way of trying to get us to be Giant fans.
Yeah.
So I got the signed photograph that says to Melissa and Brian, Tiki Barber, and then his jersey number. And then my brother has the old mesh Reebok jersey, the one that kind of has faded numbers in the front, but it has the
I remember that.
In the back. And then it would be like solid up, but it was like mesh.
It was mesh
throughout the rest of it.
Yeah.
So
wow,
that was his last attempt to make us Giant fans.
And it didn't work. It didn't work.
But we both have our own respective items, so
yeah. Poor dad. He meant well. It just wasn't happening.
No.
It just was not happening. Oh, that's too funny. Wait. No, hold on. I'm trying to get this to work. It's not working. Anyway. So, hold on. I need to know, what are your football pet peeves?
Football pet peeves. Well, you already know the biggest one.
Yeah.
Its number is 44.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, I think my biggest pet peeve is someone who everyone says I have to love, and I can't do it. I try sometimes if I really care about somebody, but if I really can't, it irritates me that people tell me I should be a fan of this person.
Yeah.
The second pet peeve is that I really love the underdog. Like, I love people who aren't always beloved or believed in, and I really fight hard tooth and nail for those people. And it really irritates me when people want to just blase pass over that person and what they do for the team, or they're like, oh well, they don't really matter because they're the third or fourth option. That makes me more love the person and kind of hate the fan that's bitching about it. I suppose you would call it. And then I think the other thing that pisses me off is someone like Chase Young, who everyone says you can't say anything bad about because he's Chase Young. He's from Ohio State. He's the Predator. He's supposed to be better than both Bosas combined. He's supposed to be a sure thing Hall of Famer. He's this great talent. He was just on a bad team in a bad situation, and you can't blame him for his inconsistent play. And it's just I've seen guys fight harder, making pennies, struggling to make ends eat, working their butts off, and I will be a fan of them to the day I die, but I can never get behind someone like Chase Young, who has every athletic freak advantage and just doesn't have that fire in his belly to play the way others do. And it irritates me that those kind of guys get chance over chance over chance with multiple organizations, and others never get a real solid chance. So I think those would be my biggest pet peeves.
Right. You and I shared one that thank God it died. And that was the recycled Debo chant. The Debo.
I hate that thing.
Yeah, see? You and I both.
Okay, I do have one other huge pet peeve.
But aren't you glad that thing died and it didn't live on?
I mean, Michael Irvin tries to force it every time on the Undisputed.
I know, he does. He's the one that started it.
On X, I really try to avoid Undisputed because just Skip Bayless is the worst person in the world. But it's funny to me that the one that I think will probably piss off people the most was that I hate Papa's chants for certain players, like Tasty Hasty, or that ridiculous Sam area that he would scream at the top of his lungs, or just like there's some really cringy stuff. And I think
it depends on the person that's doing it.
And I think in the same vein, I really don't like when you're watching a game and the people who are calling the game and are so heavily biased towards one team. So like if you're watching a game and like you would think Greg Olsen would be somewhat nice to the Niners because, you know, he played with Christian McCaffrey, he has ties to George Kittle with tight end U and everything else, and he's so biased the other way. It's just like, can I just get like 2 seconds of break from your commentary, like with your constant jabbing? Like it was the same thing with you remember a couple of years ago when we were still playing Aaron Rodgers every like year or so? You
another one of your favorite players.
500 times. Did you know that he was supposed to go number 1 overall? He was promised by the Niners.
I hate that.
And it's like throughout like 3 hours plus with commercials of watching a game, you would have to hear that like 200 times. So it's just like, give me like to go already. Like it's not new. And then when you played him in the regular season, and then you played him in the playoff season, it was just like I'm sorry, I don't wish her injury on anyone, but the very fact that you didn't have to hear his name this much this year made me happy, and I will admit that.
And he's local to you now, so you know you would hear it even more.
You know what the funny part was? He's supposed to be local, but he's not. He's still out there living in California.
Yeah, he's still out in the woods somewhere, wherever he lives out there. Like,
No, like I think he flew out once. For an interview with Mike Greenberg on ESPN, and I think he flew in a few times for Jet home games, but I don't think he's actually spent like even a month in New Jersey.
Oh wow.
Outside of his injury, I don't think he's even spent that long here. It's crazy.
That is crazy. But he's him. He's Aaron. He's just aloof, you know, like ugh.
Oh,
and a lot of people have that reaction to him too. They're just like him as the person, like, oh.
I feel that way about the player and the person.
Well, there you go. I know.
No, but seriously, like the fact that you have everybody and their mama saying like you were the greatest thing since Tom Brady. And this is like before Patrick became a 3-time champion, so I'm not disparaging Patrick Mahomes for anyone who is a Patrick Mahomes believer or fan. But the fact that you would pass up Peyton Manning and all these other like really good quarterbacks, and you would knock them for their postseason success, right? By saying they were inconsistent or they were bad or whatever. It's like, you do realize that Aaron Rodgers only won 1 championship ring, and to win that championship game, he had to beat Jay Cutler, who got injured, and Caleb Haney, and he still barely beat the Bears. Like, I'm not taking away what he did in the Super Bowl, but I'm just saying, like, the NFC Championship game, like this great, overly satirized in love with player that everyone tells us like this great thing, could barely beat the Bears with Caleb Haney, and he still barely won. Like,
the degree of difficulty was low. Let's put it that way. I mean, like you say.
And so I fought certain members of this fan base who, when offered the trade up, because you know it was like a talking point for a while there, would you trade George Kittle for Aaron Rodgers? And I was vehemently against it, and everyone, no, he's a generational talent. And I'm just like, the guy cares more about his stats than he cares about his team. And I think the fun part about me hating the Packers and hating my brother is that I got to see him finally own up to what I've been saying for a decade plus. You know, like those last couple of years, especially in like the Lions game and the divisional game and everything else, people said that he was more concerned about his turnover stats and his overall stats than he was about actually doing what needed for the team to win. And so yeah, Aaron Rodgers is not on Kyle Juszczyk's level, but he's definitely up there. I cannot stand players.
So it's Kyle then Aaron. Just are they
I don't
1-2?
I don't know if I would put it just 1-2, but they're definitely in the top 5 and top 3.
Okay,
I believe
they're on the list. They're at the top. Okay, gotcha.
I think I might put Ray Lewis in between the two.
Okay.
But yeah, Kyle Juszczyk is number 1 because of just this fan base and my overall aim for that particular football. And then I think it would be Ray Lewis and then Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, that's my top 3.
Okay,
I didn't think
there you
about
go. There you go. There you have it. Melissa's top 3 hated players. They're on the hit list.
No. We don't mention a hit list. That's gonna start.
I forgot. Jersey girl. No, strike that from the record.
That's gonna start. Gonna start.
We'll delete that from the record. Yeah. Okay.
Oh man.
So I asked you for some memorable plays from the season, and you came up with a good list. So I want to jump into that because this is going to be fun.
I really tried not to put Greenlaw on the list. It killed me not to put him on the list.
You could have, but you got some good ones on there though.
I did sneak the one with Deontay Lenore because I was like, I can't leave them both off completely.
I was shocked you didn't put Demo on because I know you're a big Demo fan, just like me. From the beginning, he was one of those underdog guys that you supported, and now look at him.
Technically, in one of those emails, I did add a play that I've watched maybe 300 times, give or take. Between, X always showing it and then myself viewing it. But yeah, so I did sneak in that one Deontay Lenore hit.
I missed it. But it's got to be the hit on Swift, the Eagles game, right? It's got to be that one. Yeah.
Yes, I did sneak that one in there. But it really did, I wanted to, especially because you work with Jess, I wanted to also add in Kittle. Mm-hmm. And I was going back through some of my favorite games and favorite plays, and I was sorely tempted, but I was like, I can't take the Cowboys game because, it was 3 touchdowns, and that's an unheard of thing for him because he's never had that before.
Right.
But then you say plays, you didn't say games. Right. So I was like, can't pick one touchdown over any of the other ones, and I was like, I don't know if I could really force Kittle, and I was like, is Kittle or Jawan Jennings? And Jawan Jennings won by a landslide. I'm sorry, Jess, if you're watching this.
It's all good.
But yes, I did sneak in Deontay Lenore.
Okay.
But
I don't have that, but I have some others, so I want to jump into it real quick. The first play out the gate is, of course, our boy. Wait, you're not on camera. Give me a sec. Hold on. Bam! There you are. Okay. Is, of course, you picked the rookie sensation. Out of Jersey, a fellow Jersey boy, a fellow local, our guy Jair Brown, who is right there. This is his first interception of the season. So, if we just check it out, I love this play. Because there he is in the box, comes down. This was like his second or third drive. Because remember, he came in for Huff being injured.
Yeah.
Basically throws back, passes, ricochets, and bam! Right there. Secures the ball.
I love that it was also, I think, a couple plays after he let a 40-yard play happen. And, when you guys, especially when rookies come in, I think it's hard for them to shake off, when they get, owned on that very first play.
Yeah.
And when you're coming in for someone, whether you're a Hufanga fan or not, it's really hard to come in for an all-pro. And I think the fact that he shook it off and he made that leaping interception the way he did in the end zone to absolutely make sure that there was no touchdown on him again it's just like that was like that moment that you're like, this is someone special. This is someone who truly not only wants to be here, but has like the fire in his belly to fight. And I love that a couple games later, you know, he had the one interception against Russell Wilson. Drew Lock. I don't know why I went to Russell Wilson. Yeah, and then he had almost a second one, but then he had to back off because Fred Warner went for it, and it's just like
Fred stole it.
And I love that, like, you know, not only when he cleared out to protect himself from Fred Warner, but like he also backed off enough to make sure that the other player around the interception, I forget who it was, but it was Jair and the other player both backed off, so Fred got it clear and free, and no one like banged into each other, because like those are like the worst injuries, when players knock into each other. I love his first thoughts were at the presser afterwards, that, you know, he was mad that Fred stole that ball from him. He wanted to that game.
He wanted to that game. Yep.
I'm like, I love this player. I love everything about him. And no, I don't live anywhere near Trenton, New Jersey, but I really love that they gave him like the key to the city, and they're gonna have a Jair day and everything else. But
yeah, it's very cool. Yeah.
No, I did not pick him just because he's from Jersey. If that's what's talked about, I genuinely love when players come in and they bring that spark that you need, and I think those kind of people are really special and fun to root for.
Yeah.
So that is why it was a play.
Yeah, I love this play because they asked him to do a lot on this play, and he responded greatly. Like, you see him back there, he's going to come down and be on Chase Young's hip like he's about to blitz. Get Telestrator working, right? He's going to come down and get on Chase Young's hip like he's about to blitz. Then he bails and goes into his zone area, and then you're going to see him, you know, follow the tight end, I believe, out to the left. That's a lot for a rookie in his first game to do, and he executed it flawlessly. I mean,
and you know, the fun part is like, he wasn't ever groomed to be a starting safety that year. Like, he's coming off.
This is his redshirt year.
Little notice, coming in for injury. It's just like, there's just something that sparks with players like that. You know, Drake Greenlaw had a certain moment like that when he came in, and I mean, he did like cleanup work for Brock Purdy, who just genuinely loved football, genuinely loved being ready for football, and completely seize their moment, and you can't help but love people like that. Right.
Exactly. Brock and Dre are two prime examples of that. I like you pointed that out.
And I love they're all late round draft picks too. It makes it even more special.
Yeah. Another camera review. Look at Jair back there just doing his thing. I really love this play. And of course, you know, I was in the house for this game. I actually went to this game. I was there with Paul.
I remember.
49 Faithful UK. Ted Talks Ball was there. John Chapman was there. It was a great time. Look at this. Look at that technique. You gotta love it. You know what I love? Like, pause it right there. When the tight end breaks, he breaks with him, but his head is still facing forward. I just messed it all up. He's still facing forward.
You know what I really love? I love
when he sees that way, he breaks down and then comes back to the ball. I mean, you can't teach that. That's just football skill right there.
He has an instinct about him. He knows where the ball is somehow in the air without even looking. He has like a sixth sense about it. He also has like this unnerving ability. And I was watching a couple of different interceptions of his in pass breakups, and he has this unnerving ability to, without ever looking, know when to keep his hands on someone and when to let go. And he also knows right when the ball's about to hit or right about to like come close to the players that are like pushing and shoving, you know? Yeah. And he knows right when to snap his head around. He knows just how long enough to keep it locked the other way around his body and his shoulder, and then to look back and not get the flag. And I think that's something certain guys have to train themselves for years for, and then just it feels like Jair just has like a natural instinct to know when the ball's in the air and when he needs to get his head around.
Yeah. When I watched the mic'd up from this game, and I saw Fred talking to him, and like Fred Warner was a fan of Jair Brown, and he was telling him like, you're gonna get your opportunities, just play your position. And he was like, didn't I tell you was gonna get it? Like, if Fred Warner's your number one fan, that's pretty good. That means you got some talent.
I think what endeared me more was when Sean Gibson was the one that was...
Oh, yeah.
That loved Talanoa Hufanga as a player and as a human being. And he even said it himself. Like, this is the reason why I'm coming back. I love playing with this kid. He makes me feel young again. I had so much fun playing with him. I need to play with him again. So for the guy who came back solely for one player to kind of fall in love and respect and mentor the other player who's coming in for him, I think that for me was far more special.
Yeah. Hats off to Gip. He's been nothing but class these past 2 seasons. Coaching up Hufanga and playing with him, and then ultimately Jair Brown after Huff got hurt. I remember being at that Bucks game and looking at them on the sideline. Gibson was right with them. Like, whenever they were off the field, he was right with them, talking to them, like, being there for them. They were communicating on the field. He was truly like a mentor to him in his first game, just being thrown out into the fire. So you got to give him his kudos just for being a great teammate. They're hard to find, like an older guy to come in and just be a mentor and actually want to see the young guys succeed. A lot of guys aren't like that.
Which is funny because a lot of people, they talk about the mentality of this team. They all kind of forget who instilled that. And it was Pierre Garçon.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught several key members about the dark place, about how to switch when you go on the field. He also taught them how to be good teammates, how to really go where you want to go. You have to not only work on yourself, but you have to work as a collective. Yeah. You have to work for your teammates, and how important it was to be a good person. And so when people have those like celebrations where they're like, because I think you generally do sometimes like lose your head and you like can't believe you had this you built up in your head. So when they like spike the ball or they like lose the ball on their first touchdown or interception, or when they do the big group shot for the defense and they have a turnover, I love that those things that Pierre Garçon brought to the Niners are still handed down from generation to generation of each different draft class, like that they keep that alive. And I think it's a shame that most fans don't remember who instilled that. It wasn't Shanahan, it wasn't Alfred Morris, it was Pierre Garçon, and he still has a effect on this team still to this day.
Yeah, and I like that those guys have carried it forward. All those guys that have played with them and embraced that culture, and they're now teaching it to the younger guys.
Yeah. And I love Kittle still gives him credit every time he's asked about it.
Yep. And Kittle's one of the main guys that does it. Like, he's always cheering on his teammates and talking positively about them, no matter what.
I always wait for Jess to say it, and I don't think I've ever caught her saying it. Maybe she has, but I always expect her to be like the one fan, because she's like a super George Kittle fan. Paul and Club 85 and the UK faithful all showed up in 85 jerseys. Paul, I have not forgotten that, and I will give you your credit. I think it's just I tune in and I want her once just to be like, George was celebrating his touchdown celebration, but did you see the way he celebrated with Jawan Jennings or Brandon Ayuk? Like, the guy goes like supernova level celebrating for his teammates when he knows they're wide open and the play's not even over yet, and you see his arms in the air and he's jumping for joy, or like he's running into the end zone even though he has nothing to do with the play and he wants to just celebrate with his guys. Like, he celebrates so much harder for everyone else and does so much grunt and dirty work and unappreciated work. It's just, it's rare that you see someone that genuinely happy for everybody else. And yes, he has his moment, and I thought it was hilarious that one Jaguars game where he's like looking around and he's like, "Where's Brandon? Where's Debo?" And like, none of them are there to celebrate, but he's always there for them. And I think like Brandon was on the next one, so it wasn't as bad, but it's just like come on, man, like this is George Evan Kittle, like why is it only 44 seems to want to go into those celebrations? Like, where's the rest of the team?
Yeah, get downfield and celebrate with them, you know? So they'll be there. They celebrate with him a lot. He does score a lot of touchdowns. So, I'm sure that was just one. That Jaguar.
No, but it, like, you know, like it sticks in your head. You know, like things just like you don't know why, but like when you start talking about certain things, it just like it re-pops in your head. I remember that one thing. Yes, I sent you more than just Jair Brown.
Yeah, I want to get into that. Hold on. Let's pull it up. Let's pull it up. Hold on. We started rambling. This is what happens. This is what happened, folks. Hold on. So, let's get into it. The next play, one of your memorable plays, was from the NFC Championship game. And that is, of course, our guy. He is now first, second, and third in Juwan. The one-handed grab. That's him at the bottom of the screen. He's going to run across a shallow cross and just make a great play. Might be catch of the year. Who knows? For the 49ers. Not in the league, but for the 49ers. Here he comes. Brock scrambles. And Juwan climbs, and bam. What a great grab. That was a great play. Of course, he gets up flexing. Look at that. The throwback by Brock, and that's just a guy making a play. I mean, look at that. Extension.
You know, the funny part was, the first thing I did after that game, and I watched it maybe 15 times after the game itself, because, you know, I was at a bar for the first time ever watching a game with actual Niner fans. Like, I've done a few streamings with Mike over, you know, devices, but I've never actually watched with fans.
Okay.
So, like, that was a huge deal for me. So when I got home, I watched it like 15 times on the way home, because I did do the overreaction show as soon as I got home. But the very first thing I did, I remember, because I was like doing this stream and I was like DMing on my other device, and I was like, I went right to Get 'em Boy Lou, Get 'em Boy Enterprises. I was like, I love this play. Lou, is there like anyone? Because like I really hate asking him, because he, like, you know, he has his own life, he has his own business and everything. It's like, I love this play. I love this player. You know, I love this player because he made my header for Twitter.
Yeah.
And I was like, is there any way you can make that Juwan Jennings thing a wallpaper for me, because I want to make it on like every one of my devices. And the Super Bowl logo and everything else, and it kind of hurt the Super Bowl logo, but like, I love that play. I love that catch. I love that. It's just. And you know, it's gonna be one of those special memories, because I got to hang out with Nick Para, or Para. I don't know how you pronounce your name. I'm sorry, Nick. But it's one of those really like special moments where I would think that normally I would have been freaking out if I was at home with my family rooting on the Lions.
Right.
But I was actually cool as a cucumber, because I was like, Dan Campbell's gonna pull Dan Campbell like things, you know. He's gonna do reckless nonsense. He's gonna go for it when he shouldn't. He's gonna, you know, count on Jared Goff the way that we used to count on Jimmy G, and things are gonna go hinky, and Jared Goff is gonna goof, and it's just like, there's so many iconic memories from that game. But for me, it's always gonna be that one-handed grab, because it's just like, for years, maybe you saw it, maybe you didn't, but I always said that Juwan Jennings, for as soon as 2021 happened, I started saying he was the third down king. He always converts on third down. I said he was clutch king. I said he was instrumental in overtime versus the Bengals, where he made that humongous play that drove that drive down to Brandon Ayuk's touchdown. And I kept saying that this is who he is. And I fought for this guy. I turned enemies with somebody over this player. So for not just this particular game, but all 3 playoff games this year, for Juwan Jennings to be not just instrumental, but have these big iconic memories that he's always going to be remembered for. It's just, I'm really trying not to cry right now, because it meant so much to me to see that happen. Like, I'd love that out of nowhere now everyone calls him Third and Juwan, whether they spell it with his actual name Jauan or Juan or whatever it is. And it's just like, I think it's special when you truly live up to the name faithful, and you believe in someone when nobody else will.
Yep.
Or no one else sees what you see, and then for things to flip over, and when everyone's like, oh yeah, you were right about that guy, or they're saying that they really enjoy that player, or you just find a bunch of people who believed as you did and you didn't know that they were out there because you were just like so protective over that player and how much they mean to you.
Right.
See it everywhere. Is really special. And I think one of the favorite memories I have from this year, which I don't really talk about, was I was watching Get Up one time because I really love Jeff Saturday, and I love when him and Swagoo have the special segments, and he has this one, I don't know if you know about it, called Pancakes. And so he shows different players throughout the league pancaking players. And so he would show offensive linemen, tight ends, like big fellas, like pancaking got defenders. And then Swagoo has his thing where he goes back and he does who needs new security about who on the offense needs better protection because the defense is owning them. So like they have their own big segments against each other on the morning show. And then of course Swagoo has his thing about big man bowling on NFL Live. And I loved that really early on in this year, before Trent Williams got his praise, before anyone else from the Niners got really praised from Jeff Saturday. And Jeff Saturday is a really underrated offensive lineman. He had Juwan Jennings as his favorite receiver from the Niners.
Oh, wow.
Solely based on his blocking and his die-hard, never-quit attitude and the way that he just shows up for his team. And I think it's really special when somebody who doesn't even have any ties to your organization, who doesn't hate them, like them, really care about them aside from having to talk about them, goes out of his way to highlight someone before anyone else to talk about them and shows them like, this is a really special guy. And so I had to go with that catch. I was really tempted to go with the Super Bowl because, you know, he made history like Nick Foles. Only Nick Foles has the ring and we don't.
Right.
He's the very second player ever to throw and to then catch a touchdown. But that Lions play, there's just something truly... But everybody will talk about the helmet doink for Brandon Ayuk as they are allowed to do so.
No matter. This is your show. We're going with your plays. Brian Colb's in the house. What up, BC? He says he thinks Ben is going to push for wide receiver number 2. Not this year. Debo and Ayuk are clearly 1A and 1B. They're 1 and 2.
I don't care.
But JJ is definitely 3rd. He is solid. He's in the mix. Kyle calls plays specifically for him. That's how much he's loved and trusted.
I am just hoping that come June 2nd, right? Because June 1st is the actual day.
Yeah.
I'm hoping June 2nd I hear the words Jawan Jennings has a 3-year deal to stay with the Niners.
Yeah.
That is
I
what
need an extension.
I need to hear the words that he actually has a multi-year deal come June 2nd when Eric Armstead's money is freed up, because I think everyone keeps acting like he's a draft pick, so he's been paid well, but he hasn't ever had that rookie contract because he was on the practice squad. He was cut multiple times. He was put on injured reserve because he had an injury in 2020. And so every year, 21, 22, 23, now 24, he's always had 1-year tenders that are about $1 million or shorter. And I don't think people truly appreciate how hard he works for. And I reiterate, not even an eighth of what Kyle Juszczyk makes. So it really, it really does bug me. But I am hopefully that he gets the extended tender after June 1st.
I think he's certainly earned it, and he deserves it, and he's valuable to the team. So it would be smart for them to finally say, hey, let's stop messing around and extend him and lock him up for the next couple of years.
I wouldn't even mind if they did like a Dre Greenlaw thing where, remember when Greenlaw got his, it was after the Broncos game. Yeah. And everyone was like really angry because he had a god-awful game against the Broncos. And everybody back then was, aside from John Chapman, because John Chapman, you are my god for always being a Greenlaw fan from day one. But you remember everyone was freaking out about why he was extended first, right? And it was like this really team-friendly deal. It wasn't like this big outrageous thing, but I love the second he got paid, he fought harder. He kind of cracked down on the leaving his gap wide open for going for the big plays. I love that he was kind of cutting down this sideline stuff and some of those ticky-tacky holding penalties that people call him dirty for. And I love that, he genuinely so appreciated that the team finally gave him what he thought he had earned and got to stay in a home that he loved, that he worked harder. And I think if people did that more often, if people celebrated those kind of people more often, like, sky's the limit if you really gave the credit to who you should be giving it to.
Exactly.
So, but there are more plays, and I can't wait to talk about them.
Well, let's jump into the next one. Hold on. Wait, you had your turn. Get out of here. Get out of here, JJ. Hold on. The next one, it's funny. You gave me a special teams play, and Brian Cope's in the house. He should be happy about this. We got a special teams play. You can't see it on screen, but the guy to focus on in this play is there's a gunner on the outside. Good old Ronnie Bell, number 10. Bell is out there. He's the guy to focus on. So, this is an outstanding play. Just like Jair Brown, he's a rookie. He stepped up on this one. Punt that Mitch. And shout out to big Mitch Wisnowski. He had a tremendous year. But this is a tremendous punt by him. Bounces and bam! Ronnie Bell with the hit. Dropped him. And of course, it was against your dad's team, so I know you had an extra special love for that hit.
These current Giants, not so much, because, I mean...
They're not doing anything.
Like, they had Richie James be their top receiver 2 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
So
I know.
It's just like...
Funny, Richie James and Matt Breida were toting the rock, right?
It's really not the same. But why I chose this play, and Brian, I'm not picking at Jake Moody before you start your nonsense. I picked this play because it was the first time you really saw Ronnie Bell in a game. Like, it was Thursday Night Football. Yep. I hated it was Thursday Night Football because, you get so few games here that are actually on national television. Mm-hmm. So I would get this game regardless. So I wished it wasn't a Thursday night football game, but it was. And I love that it wasn't just the hit itself and the awareness itself, and that special teams has so struggled with our organization that any big play kind of becomes like this big, oh my god, did you see that? But I love that Charlie Warner and him celebrated together, and they would like do this like jump hug thing as like the celebration afterwards together, and it's just like, I love moments like that where people who just are so on the fringe that they're not, you know, like bums, and they're still used, but they're not like trusted really, but they're kind of essential. When they get to shine together and they get to celebrate together and they have a bond together, and it's just all those things all together made it really, really special for me. And then yes, many plays later he had his touchdown, and that's what everyone talks about. But for me, that was one of the really special things, that hit, that moment, the way it was celebrated, the way that it was a spark. It really, it was my favorite, and I love that play.
Oh yeah, it was definitely it got everyone off their feet. Everyone went crazy.
I remember you were at that game.
We were at that game. You know, you mentioned Brian Cope. He's in the house. David Uniner's in the house. We were all at that game. Let's see. If I can, we were all right up there in that section. Jess was there. Rebecca was there. The whole East Coast Red and Gold gang. We were there checking it out, going crazy. And it definitely was a play that got everyone off their feet. The next one is, of course, what should have been the biggest play of the year, but it didn't count.
Ambry Thomas play.
That is, of course, Ambry Thomas. Strips, fumble, recovery, and Eric Armstead saying, "Run!" And sure enough, he goes, 96 yards?
I think it was like 96, maybe a little less.
To the house.
It was something crazy, because, you know, like they add up the yardage, so if like they do the big UE and like they run straight down the field, but they add in all the extra yards in between all the swerving. Right. I hated the I still hate this, and I fought over this. I still hate that Kyle Shanahan was like, "Oh, it's no big deal that I stormed the field with my players and everybody else. Like, we thought the play was over. It's no big deal. 3 plays later, Diabo got a touchdown, so it's no big deal." Like, you didn't realize this guy has been hated on. Like, third round players have been hated on the last couple of years, and then he has this big, iconic. And this was the game where we were coming off the bye after the 3-game losing streak, so like this was like a huge momentum switcher. So it wasn't just the game, it wasn't just Trevor Lawrence, it wasn't just that the Niners needed a win. It was his complete dismissal of the importance of the player scoring, the defense scoring, the corner himself, and everything else. It's just like, I really detested the way that he handled not only the situation itself, but the way he spoke. It's just like, you can't say that defensive line is always what you care about in defense building and what you would hate to face on defense if you're that dismissive of what your defense is doing. And it's just like, oh, okay, it's okay because Debo did it a couple of days later. Like, come on. Yeah. Like, this is why your defense burns out in the playoffs, because they're doing plays like this all year long to carry your offense, and when they need your offense to really pull it in the playoffs, the defense is left out hanging, and it goes all the way back to Harbaugh and Fangio and Greg Roman, and it's just like, I really hate when offense coaches are so beyond dismissive of what happens with the defense, or they blame the defense for what the offense isn't doing, and then they completely ruin, stupidly, what should have been an iconic, beyond memorable memory for everybody who's an Iron fan.
Yep.
And it would have been the first pick six of the year, so it's just it's or defensive touchdown because it was a fumble recovery.
Yeah.
But it drove me crazy, and it still drives me crazy that he was just like, no biggie. When they always say that they play until they know that the play is absolutely dead.
You're supposed to play until the whistle. And like, yeah, you can't be dismissive of that, because what if this was a close game? What if that was a turning point? What if that was a deciding factor? You wouldn't have been dismissive then. So you can't blow that off.
I would have even taken like a half-ass, like, I'm sorry, my bad.
Yeah.
But you didn't get any of that.
That's all you had to do.
So
just be like, hey, I got caught up in the moment and jumped on the field, anything. I got to be better than that. I'm the coach, Just own it. Just own it. That's all you got to do. Take accountability, right? I mean, Amby comes up, tackle, strip, jumps on it. Eric Armstead's pup is like, keep going. And look at these dudes. Now, like, the rookies, they're rookies. They're excited. What you gonna do with that? Their position coaches should have kept them on the bench. But Kyle's out further than all of them.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he literally had to jump back himself while Amby is passing him. Like, that's
shuffling over. Yeah.
Like, everyone keeps saying, "Oh, it was the players that were on the field first." It's like, it doesn't matter. Like, your head coach shouldn't pull up Mike Tomlin. Like, you should not be on the field during a live play, whether it's against your own team or against the opposite team. This is the reason why, like, you hated Salah, because you had to hire extra somebody to constantly yank him off going on the field, because Salah would get so into the play. Like, you remember all those times where he had, like, someone yanking at the middle of his back, like, Coach, gotta get back. Coach, gotta get back.
Get back. Yep.
And he's, by the way, just for people who still don't watch Salah, he still has a get back person on.
Yeah, he still has a get back guy, yeah.
Although, I think, was it this year or last year? One of the years, because I had to watch the game because the Niners were on TV. Salah actually, like, elbow checked the guy in the neck and in his head.
Oh,
because the guy was pulling it back from the play, and Salah wanted to go storm the field to go actually celebrate with his team, and I thought that was the most hilarious thing ever. But it's just I don't understand.
Looking at this, I think Kyle was on the field before everybody.
Exactly.
If you watch
they said that they didn't get the whistle.
He's standing still already.
But it's like, Coach, come on, like, you didn't storm during Jimmy Ward returning it after Dre Greenlaw's goal line stand in the last game of the year in 2019. You don't ever really storm the field. But for you to do it to Amby Thomas and to be so blasé about it, it's just like, it's not exactly a pet peeve, but it's right underneath being pet peeve.
Yeah. It's up there. It's definitely up there. I think my favorite part of this whole thing is, if I could catch him right there, Chris Kasarek's reaction. His face there is awesome. He definitely has that "oh my god" look.
I love Chris Kasarek. I think he's just genuinely one of those, like, really endearing people.
Yep. You gotta love him. Alright, I want to get to the last play. Let's jump on it. And of course, this might be the defensive play of the year since it counted. And who else? It's no other than the man himself. All-Pro Fred. It was, of course, week 5 versus the Cowboys. Comes over with the punch. Boom, punch, fumble. Big Kev jumps on it. Niners football. What a
You know
play.
the best. You know what the best part about that play was?
What?
Fred had a punch out. Diamondor slid right, like, you could not have drawn it up better on like an Etch-a-Sketch. Got his foot in there just enough, kept in bounds just enough to keep the ball alive, and then Kevin Givens fell on the ball and made sure that it stayed in bounds. Like,
Yeah.
It was a punch out, the kick, and the recovery. It was like all three things together.
Yeah.
And it was like the most like what the happened play, but like I love moments like that where it's not just like one player or this player doing this, but like it's like the whole one mind goal, one thing. Make sure that you keep your opportunity, and it's just like it's so big, bang, 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 like so quick.
Yep.
That I think that was one of the very few times where like you actually appreciated Sunday Night Football slowing things down, reversing different angles, showing the different ways. Like so many times it's used to gross you out, whether it's someone's injury, or whatever, and it's just for that just like slow it down and really show what happened, and all the players like perfectly moving in a machine-like way to keep the ball alive. It's just so iconic. It's so awesome.
Yeah, I love it because so much happened on this play. Like Fred is just Fred. Like if you notice there, like a lineman jumps out on him and locks him up, and Fred's just going to toss him to the side and then pursue the ball. I mean, he was on a different level this game. He was clearly best player on the field, right? Like, no offense to George Kittle and his 3 touchdowns, but Fred was the best player on the field this game. I mean, look how he tosses that guy. Nope, get out of here. And then, of course, the punch. Unreal.
The funny part is that, I don't know if you watched it at all this year, but the Warner House is Fred and his wife Sydney. And
I watched that religiously. It's a great podcast. Yeah.
They break down games and other stuff every week. I don't know if it was that particular week or it was a couple weeks later, but they were talking about it and how Fred used to be a diehard Cowboys fan growing up. And when they didn't value him or even really have him on their radar to be drafted by them, that's the game he always gets up for. And you kind of see that's the one game where he doesn't really have his Fred Wardian mess-ups with the missed tackles or the jumping off his gaps or going for the big interception more often than not. There are a few times he does, but it's not like as egregious as it is in other games where he's going for like the interception or the punch out or whatever. But that he's locked in and laser focused for those particular games is a big deal, and it was nice to kind of figure out why. But I had to put that on the list. And then another place that I told you about that to this day just makes no sense to me. I think it may have been the Browns game, but it could have been a different game. But there was this one game where Debo got hurt, and Juwan Jennings was lined up in the backfield as a running back, and I was like,
that's the Green Bay game.
What the hell is this? Like
that was the Green Bay playoff game.
What are you doing, Kyle?
Yeah.
It made no sense to me. Like, I love Juwan Jennings, but like, he's not a running back.
Exactly. That was Kyle not adjusting. And that's like a big pet peeve for like myself and a lot of fans with his play calling, where he just doesn't adjust the game plan. And he even admitted it after the game. He said he Ron Burgundied it. He just called it.
You know what I think it is? I think it is that he grew up around this game. You know, he grew up around his father, and I'm gonna say the name because this is who he learned under. Not to start any controversy, and I'm not supporting the actual coach itself. Even though earlier I did say I rooted for his team for a short while. But he did learn under John Gruden, and other big iconic coaches
Yeah.
of that particular era. So I think with him having an innate ability to not only read teams, players, and situations in a way that's kind of unearthly, because he kind of has a way of kind of like instinctually knowing how certain players will instinctually handle stuff, like in a chess way, and so he could kind of like game plan for that. I think it really throws off his imbalance when things don't go to his script, and he doesn't like going away from his script. And the more success the team has, the more championships games they go to, the more that they win, he falls back on his fatal crutch, which is his game planning and what he thinks should happen or how he draws things up.
Right.
And I think he doesn't, even to this day, handle it really well when things don't go to the way he imagines it in his head. And I think he does believe genuinely that his system is so superior that any person could really be plugged into any situation, whether it be because of injuries or the person's gassed or needs a break for this play or whatever it is.
Right.
And so I think those things generally freak me out more than anything else. But at the end of the day, I just... like, you can't hate the guy, but you can't really truly love the guy.
Can't love him all the way
It's
because of those deficiencies. Right.
it's like you can love him, but there's never really going to be that full trust in him. And it's just like, I don't like how he scapegoats people to make up for his own deficiencies. It was just like one of those big things for me this whole year. How he always throws his defense under the bus, or his special teams, or the players themselves. And you would hope at this point in his career that he would just be like, just my bad.
Yeah.
When he don't do that, when he goes so beyond over blaming Steve Wilkes or the defense, or just throwing anybody and everybody else under the bus like Jimmy Garoppolo used to do, it really does beyond irritate me that that's how it's handled. So, but yeah, like I had a bunch of plays like I would love to throw out there, but those just are some of my favorites.
But those are five
they're
good
good or
ones.
bad.
They're memorable. No, they're all good. You know, they all helped us win. So that's good stuff. Well, we're running over an hour. I want to cut this off, but we got to link up and do it again.
I would love that. This was fun.
Yeah, exactly. We'll link up and do it again for sure. But are you jumping on anything this week? Are you doing anything this week? Joining anybody's podcast?
I believe tomorrow I might be doing the Corey Davis Lockdown show.
Okay.
With Bryant and David McNiner.
Yep.
I think Wednesdays are trivia nights now.
Yeah.
I didn't make last week. I'm hoping to make tomorrow. But aside from that, no. It's not that I don't want to. It's just I don't want to be like that nuisance that like bugs people to be like, can I come on your show? Can I do this? Can I do that? Like, I swear to you, the only person I've ever really done that with is Mike Andrews. And that is because he is my NJ bro, and he's kind of he's the reason why I joined this community. There's just something so endearingly heartwarming and special and genuine and so Jersey, and I do say Jersey because Mike really embodies what I think of when I see someone from Jersey. Like they're unapologetically themselves.
Yeah.
They love fiercely. They will fight you fiercely even if they think they're wrong. Just because that's just who you are in your bones. And he's just so welcoming. And so I love razzing him on that first call-in. But he gave me a second family. Like, at the end of the day, he actually changed my life. I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know all these different people who've changed my life if it weren't for him. So it's just like, it's so, I think, important to not just tell people that you love them and to their face, but to constantly give praise even when they don't know about it, because I think it's just genuinely important to pay it forward, to make sure that they're truly understood, appreciated. And so Mike is the one person I've ever done that with. Like, I don't try to abuse it, because I know he's really nice about it. But I have asked him to watch certain games with him, whether it's on Patreon or whatever, because I just I genuinely enjoy Mike watching games. Like, there's just something special about that. The good, the bad, the crazy, the everything in between. I love doing the overreaction shows. I love doing victory shots. I got to watch the Super Bowl with him, which wasn't always pretty, but it was special. And Mike got me through one of the roughest periods of my life a couple years ago, and it happened again this summer. But my poodle has been with me through so much in my life since 2009. It was the year after I got my diagnosis, and so back in 2020, Mike was still streaming the shows on YouTube every once in a while to like keep the community's spirits up and everything. And it was the I think it was week 15 or 16, the one after Christmas. So it was like on Boxing Day. It was against the Arizona Cardinals. Well, the team was forced to live in Arizona because they got kicked out of Santa Clara.
Yep. Yeah.
It was right around Christmas, and I remember watching the game, and I was laughing because for some reason my TV was faster than what Mike and Tony and everybody else was streaming their games on. And so I was freaking out because this was like the first time I was like around Niner fans during an actual game. Right. And so I was like in the comment section, I was like constantly like reacting to everything, and they were like, Melissa, you gotta stop it, like stop spoiling everything.
We're delayed.
I just can't help it, so after a while I just like shut up. But like, that game was so special because I got to spend it with them, but it also was like one of those times I feel it was like the last Christmas I was gonna have with my dog. And I've had, fortunately, it's now 2024 and he's still alive, even though he had a really bad summer and almost died multiple times. But I think it's really important to genuinely show people that they need an impact. It's like you can josh with them, you can have things with them. Like, I still give Mike crap about George Kittle sometimes, and he'll give me crap about Kyle Juszczyk like everybody else does. Like, and I love that we did the 24-hour thing before the Super Bowl. Like, we stayed up with Mike. Like, I think I missed maybe the first 2 hours because I was doing stuff, and then I missed a couple other times because I had to eat or go to the bathroom or whatever. But it was fun staying up with him. Like, it was. These are like the things that make this community, I think, so special, is because like it's more than a game, it's more than a team. It's just like, it's family. And so I really love doing this with you. Yeah. One day I hope to do it in person. I haven't been to New York since COVID, so I'm like a little.
Don't you worry about it. We always have like this.
I'm a little weirded out about going to New York, and it's not because of you. It's just like it's the bus, and it's the subway, and it's just like
it's a lot.
Tight, compacted areas, and being a type 1 diabetic, you have to constantly be careful about germs and stuff like that. So like, it's not that I don't want to do this in person. It's just like it's a little. Like I said, it was a big deal for me to go out for the championship game. I had never done that before. But the crazy part was, I don't know if you see it on the wall there, but the Do It for the Bay thing. It's crazy because that's my biggest rivalry. Niners Green Bay,
Uh-huh.
and they were giving out those towels for that game.
Right.
And so I knew Nick was going to the game, and I asked him if he'd get me one. And then, but I was nervous to do it because you don't want to take advantage of someone being nice.
Yeah.
Or you don't want to come off as one of those people who takes advantage of somebody else by just expecting it or something or whatever. So the funny part was, I actually went to Mike Andrews. I was like texting him. I was like, Mike, does this really make me a bad person if I ask someone who I know is going to the game if I could get this rally towel, which I know doesn't cost them a cent of money, but it's just, it feels really wrong to do this. And he's like, no, you're definitely fine. So then I find out a couple days later, Nick got it for me, and he's like, this is no big deal, like, this is what you want. And I was like, it's not about what it looks like, it's about what it represents and what it means to me. And then I met him in person a couple days later when he got back to Jersey, and he handed it to me in my front lawn, and it was just like this big moment. So I was like, I really have to go to the next game and celebrate with him at the bar.
Right.
But then I find out, like, right after I get it from Nick, Mike actually went on Twitter, and he was asking for the same rally towel. It's like, oh, okay, cool, Mike loves it too, and he's gonna have one that matches mine. And then I'm like, getting a DM, and he's like, by the way, I was doing that for you. And he's like, I was asking for you, and I'm having it shipped to you. And I'm like, oh shit, I got two now. What am I gonna do with the two? So the Nick one is safely with my Jerry Greenlaw signed jersey that I won from Niner Edits. I haven't put it up yet because, I don't have a UV protective frame yet, so that's why it's not on the wall. But I put Mike Andrews' up on the wall, and Nick's is with the jersey, and it's just like, I still can't believe it. Like, it's crazy to me. Like, I know it's hard for Paul and everybody to get stuff from the UK, and I love that they have a community now that they support each other. They've helped get residency and all these big brands over there for the players, not just for the Niners community, but like all the UK fans. But it is hard for things to come to the East Coast for West Coast teams. So
people don't understand
the fact that two people were willing to do that, a third, because it wasn't Mike going to the game, but it was somebody else sending it to him, then him sending it to me, really just, I think, makes this community so special, which is why I wanted to do this for the longest time, talk with you, because I think you're one of those people who truly understands how, not just hard, but how special this community is. And it's why I called in on your show with Jess, and I told you, like, I appreciate that the two of you never go too high, too low. You never kind of like jump on what everybody thinks is the kitschy thing at the time, whether it's dragging Kinlaw or standing up for Grant Cohen or whatever the newest thing is. You guys stay how you see things, and even if the four of you don't really see things the same way, you don't ever really go at each other except for like in a kidding kind of fashion, because like you guys are like a little family. But that's the way I kind of see you guys. Like you're kind of like siblings without being born siblings.
Right.
And I genuinely appreciate that about you and Bex and Matt and Jess and everybody else, and that's why I still have Bex's rally towel up there, the black one. Longest time before I had anything from Mike, I had the birth of a jersey on Bex's towel, and I felt so guilty because I was like, it's nothing but Niners thing on a East Coast red and gold thing, and I don't want to mix the two up. And I genuinely love her. She saw that I'd never had a rally towel before. She sent me one of hers, and I really feel bad, but I really need this up on my wall because it's nothing but Niners, and just so that's why Mike's is up on the wall, so that way it's nothing but Niners with nothing but Niners. But
it's all
this is a lot of fun.
Like, it's all love. It's all part of the community. This is what we do.
I love my hoodie. I'm gonna like wear it like the second the show is off.
Well, you do that. That's what it's for. Rock it proudly. Melissa, thank you so much. This has been awesome.
Thank you, Todd.
We'll do it again soon. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. And as always, stay faithful, everybody. Peace out.
Bye.